because I was 13 when the wall came down. I heard about it at night when we watched television. The wall is open,
Yes.
and you can come and go to the other side. So that was a big surprise, I remember. And we went there next day, and I went there with my father and got a hammer and got some pieces off the wall. And then we just walked through East Berlin. And we went there every day again and again and again, kind of as if you couldn't believe it, that it really happened. I couldn't really say it was something like now something broke and something totally new came, because I didn't have that much of life and history until then. So it was really exciting, and it was new. And getting older or growing up, when I was 16, I really started discovering the East part and went out at nights and discovered all the clubs and cellars that were there. About the feeling, it felt really very cozy. West Berlin was really cozy, quiet, small, easy-going, and for people the age of my parents, it was like being allowed to be free and not going to the military service, not living with their parents, because most of the parents, or my grandparents, live in the western part, in the north of Germany. So it was kind of a freedom, but surrounded by a fence. And I remember as a child going out on Sunday mornings. The streets were really empty and really quiet, and it was like living in a village, though I was living in the middle of the city. Yeah, I was roller skating on the street. There were not a lot of cars, and it was really peaceful. When some relatives came to visit us from the western part of Germany, we always went to the wall. It was like sightseeing. There was one place, I don't really remember where it was, but I think it was in Kreuzberg, where you could walk up some stairs and look over the wall. We kind of went up there and said, "Hello, brothers and sisters," and that was it. But I didn't really have a relationship to the East.
No.
Not at all. My mother's grandmother, she lived close to Leipzig, and we visited her once, that I can remember. And that was kind of exotic, because we had to, I don't know, you could only get a visum for one day. So we went there really early in the morning, and I think it was her birthday, her 80th birthday, and we stayed there with all those relatives. I remember that it was a lot really different. Everything smelled differently. Like, they used other soap or whatever. It was really a different smell.
Yeah.
And then we stayed there, and there was a lot of cake. I remember being a child, it was really crazy that they had so much cake. And then we left there late at night, so we, could really use the whole day. More other countries. I know France and Spain and Italy much better than Western
Yeah.
Germany. Well, now it's a bit better. Another time I went to the east, that was for the Christmas market on Alexanderplatz.
Okay.
So you could get a visum, one-day visum to go to Alexanderplatz Christmas market. And you had to change money, so Western money to Eastern money. And you had to, I think, exchange 100 Western German marks. And that was a lot of money to spend in East Berlin. So you would never know what to buy because everything was so much cheaper than in West Berlin. So I just remember that my parents would buy records, music records, anything just to spend their money.
Yeah,
Then we would go back. Our family wasn't divided
No.
like that only. Yeah. My great-grandmother in Leipzig.
Yes.
Yeah, no relatives. So I think that's a big difference. If you
Yeah.
had relatives living in the other part of the country, you would engage more. And so we had kind of, it was like Adventureland. We would walk through the streets and look for houses that were kind of empty, and where people could move in and squat it. So it was really a big, huge Adventureland. We took a lot of photos and just tried things out. How does the lemonade taste here? How is the beer here? How is the music? Everything was so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was different. But also similar because we were the same age and we were all wondering what's going to happen now. And we're all kind of happy to, I think, them to show us their city and to together discover everything. And I didn't really find or got to know a lot of young people who would want to travel to the West and were like, oh yeah, now we can travel anywhere. That wasn't really what I discovered. I got to know people who are kind of proud of their socialization, like how they grew up and all. And that's the special thing about Berliners. They're very open at one side and kind of closed to the other. We say you're a Berliner when you have a flat and when you have a job here and when you're living here since a while. We're so open and we're sharing and everything, but I think I hope it won't change. I hope that people won't be getting more narrow-minded or more closed, because that's really a situation it's not good. It's something that is happening in every other big city as well in the world, but it doesn't really help. We had to be open when the wall came down. There wasn't really a choice of not being open. And I mean, we could be open. There was so much space, But we are kind of, or Berliners are kind of narrow-minded if you don't let them be Berliners. And Berliners are kind of rough and unpolite and direct. they tell you what they think, and they're most often kind of in a bad mood. Concerning the Western people, they move to the East more than the East move to the West. When you go to a West Berliner pub, that's really West Berliner pub. That hasn't changed in ages, that they're proud of it, you know. They don't want it to change.
No.
And the same you can feel in the eastern part when you see how proud they are of their East German Brötchen, bread rolls.
Yeah.
So people kind of try to hold on to something they're used to. I think it's really hard. Well, what it was always interesting for artists. It used to be cheap. There are so many historic differences that you could work on and make art of, and you know, like contrasts that are interesting. That's typical for big cities in general, but for Berlin especially, because the surface changes as well all the time. In general, happiness. So my parents were really happy that, because of course we knew that it wasn't really that the political system could go on like that in the GDR, and we were really happy and feeling happy for the people that could travel now and have democracy and freedom. So that was in general happiness. Oh, why shall everything go so fast? The Wiedervereinigung, you know, the official political unity was forced to come really fast. It was like, hey, why can't we start getting to know each other? We were overrun by politics.
Okay, I see.
We couldn't really decide when is the best time to be united again.
Yeah.
That was really quick. Yeah. And of course people were kind of angry of the Western people of paying more taxes for building up the East and all. It was what was not easy. So feeling happiness and anger was both there.
Yeah.
In the West. The people there, they look differently. If you really look close, you see, here are living more elderly people than in the eastern part. And I think Berliners like to show their city, and they're kind of proud to show to others. I think we were kind of arrogant towards the western part of Germany, and because we had such a special situation here, I can't really describe it. It's that's something that we're kind of arrogant, because we were so cosmopolitan-like, and so kind of adventurous living in the city. Maybe. And I think we always felt like everything is happening here, not in Hamburg and not in Munich. Yeah, we were kind of arrogant, and we were like traveling not to Western Germany but to foreign countries. I know that was a big difference from my family to families living in Western Germany, that they wouldn't travel that much. That was kind of an attitude, but it was also a way of living, to choose Berlin because it was so different and crazy. Berlin always had was a big subculture that would hide in squatted houses and bars and cellars and all. So it's really the interesting life is more hidden.
Yeah.
It's not on the surface. Everything's changing all the time. But Berlin stays the same. I don't know. You know, it's a continuous change. But still, it's a feeling of being at home. You're kind of in the flow of being changed by a lot that surrounds you, but it's still your Berlin because it changes all the time. Yeah, I feel at home in Berlin, but I can't really tell you that there's this special tradition or this smell or whatever, because it changes all the time. But that's maybe what we like. Stable change.
Yeah.